Welcome to Season 3 of No Shelf Control, the podcast with books, booze, and banter, hosted by authors for readers, because let's face it, we're all bookworms at heart.
This season, we're reading and discussing indie books. I don't know why I said it like that. Whoop, whoop. And we couldn't be more excited to be spreading the word about other independent authors like ourselves. I'm Lindsey Sparks.
And I'm Lindsey Pogue. Grab a beverage, kick back, and enjoy the show.
So welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of No Shelf Control. For this episode, we read and will be discussing Broken by Imogen Keeper. It is a viral apocalypse story that promises to have some romance, which is very fun and in line with our origin series.
Yeah, our flagship
ending series.
Yeah.
The series that started it all for us. So that was really fun. And this one definitely hits close to home with the recent pandemic situation and all that stuff. So it's going to be a fun one to talk about. But before we get into that, what are you drinking?
Water.
I mean, I think we all know what I'm drinking at this point. But there's ice again.
That's good. It's so funny. I think I said this last time. I did the same thing today. It was warm. It was like 5 o'clock, and I said, okay, in like an hour or so, I'll open a bottle of bubbles, and I'll take bubbles in there, whatever. I never did it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of you out there. I'm horrible.
She's letting us down.
Well, I'm so busy. Like, I've had so much going on that honestly, what was going through my head is, okay, I'm going to open the bottle of bubbles and I'm going to have a glass for the podcast. And this is going to sit in my fridge for like 4 days because I'm not going to be home because there's so much going on. And so I'm just like, ugh. I essentially boiled down to, do I want to waste a bottle of bubbles? And then I never thought about it.
Yeah.
But it did sound good earlier, I promise.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, one day will be exciting again.
Yeah.
With our beverage
and I'm like determined. Okay, well, I do have a quick little story that I'll share, since I know you love my creepy, weird drinking, my homemade.
Oh no.
So I have
eggnog.
My eggnog that I make. Yeah, so I age eggnog, for everybody who doesn't know. I make it from scratch, eggnog with all the alcohol in it, spiked and everything. We make it every year for the holidays for the family. That's kind of one of the gifts that we give out. And it's absolutely delicious, and it has a 2-year aging recipe. We don't tend to go past a year, if that, but I do have some, I think I have like a mason jar and a half left in my fridge. And I had family here recently who are never here during the holiday, so they never get it, right? So we opened some for my mother and father-in-law who are visiting from Costa Rica, and then my aunt was here from Oklahoma yesterday. So we opened it for her to try. So I mean, I have been, dabbling a little bit in some fun things, and I don't know, but that's as far as it's gone.
It still weirds me out.
I know it does, but it's so good. I wish if it wasn't so, like, it's like a dessert,
Yeah.
It's like you can just like sip on it on like a hot day, so it's definitely a seasonal thing, only for that reason. But
a little Christmas in June.
Yeah. Anyway, I just had to share that with you, since I know you love my stories about my
your eggnog. I don't know why it weirds me out so much, but it does.
I don't know either.
I know like alcohol is like a preservative. I get it. I think it's the dairy aspect and the eggs. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But in my head, I'm like, that can't work.
Yeah. Well, I haven't died yet, so I guess it's okay.
No. And it doesn't taste like rotten eggs, apparently, or rotten milk. So
it tastes like deliciousness.
All right. What are you working on, or what have you been working on?
So I have kind of been talking about how I am writing. I kind of taken a step back from publishing this year. It doesn't mean I'm not writing. I'm just not publishing consistently. I have no publishing dates for 2013. I wish. What? 2023. But I have been writing, and I have a whole new writing schedule that is new for me that I'm still trying to get used to, which is every week I'm focusing on a different project instead of just working on one project at a time, because I have multiple projects in the works. Specifically because I'm writing for my REAM team. my membership subscribers. Lindsey and I were joking.
Reamers.
Yeah, Lindsey and I have been joking about how it's so hard because we both really like this new platform called REAM Stories.
It's like Patreon, but built for authors
and readers. So we love it, but the name is kind of rough.
Is REAM, and we understand that a ream of paper is a thing.
Yes,
but we are apparently 12-year-olds, and
yeah. And so anyways, I'm like, well, I can't, it's so hard to try and figure out what to call people is kind of what the conversation led to. And so I'm going to go with my membership folks. But anyway, so I have been.
You're not going to go with your REAM team?
Well, I mean, that's kind of like my REAM team roundup is my newsletter specifically for them once a month, but I don't think I'm going to be like my REAM team. I don't know, maybe. I mean, it really honestly is going to be whatever sticks, I guess, but yeah. I just, it's going to take me a while to get used to saying that. But in the meantime, so I have been working on Skies of Fire, which I'm making a lot of headway on, which is really fun. And that's my post-apocalyptic story it's contemporary, it's more modern day, and which parts of me love and parts of me doesn't like writing in because it's all the technology you have to work around and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also more familiar, right? So it's also easier in some aspects. So I've been working on that. And so I have a week to work on that. And then I have a week to work on Born of Salt and Sea, which is fun. And then I have a week to work on whatever the members vote on. So this is my first month doing that. And it's actually harder to focus, but it's really hard to just say that's how it's going to be because I have so much going on. So I don't know,
What's the fourth week?
That's a great question. I don't actually know. So like this week, let's see. So this week I have it looks like I kind of have, so next week is, all right, let me start with how it goes for the first week. So the first week of the month is writing the exclusive whatever I'm going to be writing that they get to vote on. The second week is going to be my Born of Salt and Sea chapters. And then I kind of have like a week and a half for that. And so then the following week and a half is for Skies of Fire. And then I have a free week. And then I go back to apparently, I don't know. I don't think the Born chapters. So that's the one. So it's kind of interesting because I don't know if this ever happened to you, because I feel like you're always writing, especially when you do your serials, like you're always writing, like every month you are working on something in that moment for what's going to post like the next week or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whereas for Skies of Fire, I already have a bunch of chapters out. So it's really hard not to just like want to post them all at once.
That's my problem. I'm like, I'm a very patient person with a lot of things, as you know, but with this kind of thing, I'm just like, no, I want you to read it. It's right. I'm done. Like, get it out.
I have a feeling that's how I'm going to be once I make sure that I can keep up with this pace, because I don't want to post everything and then write myself into a corner where I have all these things in, because this is a new writing schedule for me. Like I usually have one big project at a time. So I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. So I'm really trying to like just pace myself for now. But I think that's
super smart. And I wish like there have been a couple months where I would have like had parts of what I posted for my serials like done ahead of time. And it was like, this is nice. It's like not quite so like urgent, but
I would really like to, if I can get into a groove, I would really like to have like cut the writing time down for everything just to work in at least a little bit more time to write some Scarlet stuff, because I really want to work on that too. So we'll see how it goes.
That can be your fourth week.
Yeah. But anyways, right now, what about you? What are you working on?
I
beta revision.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. beta revisions, which were amazing. This was like the best. I was so nervous about this book.
Why? Because it was the last one?
Yeah,
Or, well, I guess you struggled with it too.
I struggled with it. The pregnancy has been messing with my head and like making it hard to focus, and focus is really important when you're trying to get in the zone of writing. And so yeah, I was just like, what if this doesn't make any sense? What if it's not like, it doesn't have like the depth or whatever. What if I forgot about things, and that there's all these like threads that are just like willy-nilly loose hanging all over the place. No, but the beta feedback was great, and I was like, yeah, cool. Okay. So it was like the easiest beta revisions. I wrote an epilogue, and I added some details about one part. And other than that, there were just like little teeny weeny little tiny things. And so it was just like really, it's like, oh, good. It was like 2 days of beta revisions. And that was counting writing the epilogue. And then and then I have been going through with Pro Writing Aid, which is what I do before just to get like all the little weird grammar and gobbledygook pieces cleaned up before I do my out loud read through. So I am looking like I'm going to be miraculously a week ahead of schedule. So that'll be nice. Yeah. Well, it actually takes off a little pressure because next week I need to write some Patreon stuff at the beginning of the week. So I can do that without being like stressed about it, and just write that and then get back to do my read through. So
nice.
Yeah. And I've been just like constantly thinking about the Kickstarter in the background of my mind, and like adjusting everything in the campaign part, like that nobody can see yet because it's not actually live for like a couple more months, but I'm still just like tweaking everything. And just like the more I learn about it. So, and like simplifying things. And I have been hearing from like different like crafts people who I'll be working with for merch items and stuff. So that then adjusts things. And yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited about just like being able to like release this story and then dive deeper into this like major, huge campaign that I'm putting together. So yeah. Those are my big things. That I'm working on.
I guess it's kind of considered work what I'm working on. I was gonna add it for like book stuff, but it's not really a book that I've been reading. I mean, it is because I had to listen to it, but I did listen to the Land of Fury podcast. I wish it was a podcast. No, the Land of Fury audiobook. I got the audiobook for, which comes out this month. So I was excited to hear the final installment, and it's so weird. I feel like it's been a long time since I put that book out, and I know it hasn't been that long, but it feels like it. I think it was March. Like when I was listening to it, I was like, I don't even remember writing or reading it.
That's funny.
But yeah. But anyway, so that's exciting. And that I guess it made me think of it because you're talking about, the beta revisions for this last book that you have in the series. And I don't know, it's like I know you're ready to move on to something else, but listening to the book again, it made me think I want to keep writing in this world, but I don't have, there's not this nagging story that I have to write immediately. And the ideas that I do have, I don't know if I want Scarlight to write them, or if I want to write them, or if I want to do a novella. And so I figure wait till it feels right. So,
well, this was kind of a funny conclusion for me, just because I have already started this. I have more stuff in this world, and I've already started, as you know, the next series, which is All World Online, that like jumps off of this one, that I paused to finish this one because I needed to know exactly how this one was going to end before I could continue All World Online, because it doesn't seem like it at first, but it directly picks up after where this one ends. So, and the epilogue makes it super clear that I added. So it's like a weird wrap up because it's like more like a hop,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like a springboard. So
That's fun too.
yeah. So there's less of the like, oh, I'm gonna miss these characters, and like more of, okay, now I can like actually think about what happens to them next, because I jumped way ahead, not realizing how far ahead I had actually gone in the like chronology of the story. So
Yeah.
I do want to add, I also have audiobook news, I guess. So Blood of the Broken, which came out like in the fall. The ebook and the book came out in the fall. Anyway, the audiobook is now available. So my patrons have it, and I think it's like on Apple maybe. But and I know Audible was waiting to release it until after their sale. So if their big like site-wide sale is over, then Blood of the Broken should be available on Audible as well.
Speaking of the sale, so that made me, I know we were talking about this the other day. So when I was in there looking, when you had texted me and you're like, hey, check out some of these books for a podcast, whatever. I was in there and so Land of Fury is already out for pre-order. It comes out June 27th. And I went to see what the sale was on it. And it's hilarious because, you know, it's Podium and they are in contract with Audible, but obviously Audible doesn't want to lose money on a pre-sale. So, or like a pre-order. So they hiked the price all the way up to like 40 something dollars and then discounted it 50%. So then like it's still 20s, like $25 or something.
There was another book that I looked at that was like that. And I was like, there's no way this book is actually like $47.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't get how they make these decisions. Like, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I just thought you would find that interesting.
I do. I wonder if they like talked to Podium.
I'm sure there's some agreement.
Yeah, that there was like
they probably have so many.
Yeah, it's interesting. Excuse me, hiccups. Well, did you grab any books that you're really excited about?
Yes, I think most of them were for the podcast, which was really cool. I did also I was looking. It's hard because, you know, Chirp has a huge sale going on right now too. And I also get my audiobooks from there. But so there was a couple, I was like, okay, I'm already spending like so much money.
I know.
Oh my Lanta. But yeah, it looks like the ones that I recently got, I got some like nonfiction, I got some romance, but yeah, the ones that I've got recently are Fine Print, Savage Lands, Dark King, for Audible anyway.
Yeah,
I got some. Oh, and I don't know if I told you, but I ended up buying this paperback book. It's a Scarlet St. Clair series because I know we read, what was it, Touch of Darkness.
Touch of Darkness.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, yeah. So I ended up getting the Queen of Monsters or whatever, this really cool book cover with this woman's hands, and it had like all these. Anyway, I bought it. I didn't realize it was a book too. So the other book I bought was King of Battle and Blood, which is the first book. Since I now have the paperback for book 2 and I didn't realize it. To be very fair, you guys, like, that's not anywhere on the book. Like, I don't get how people don't put that on there. Like,
I don't understand it. I'm like adamant about putting the series, and the number on the books. I think
because I had readers who were like, you realize that's book 2. I'm like, nope. Thanks for letting me know.
See, that's the thing. Like, it drives me nuts when you have to like look it up. Like, I don't know. Or when I'm trying to organize books on my shelves and I have like all of these urban fantasy books that are in series, and I'm like, I have to like find whatever the most recent one is and like look at their also by page to see like the publishing order and stuff. Like, it's very annoying.
It is really annoying, and it's I've never hear people complain about that, but I feel like that's like a big thing for me. So
yeah. As annoying as the fake stickers on book covers.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so I did get some though. There were so many that I took out.
I got a lot.
Like, okay. Well, I was like, okay, like $9 is if it's not really on sale if it's like $12.55. So I'm just like, I might as well just wait. Yeah. So there's a lot of them where I was like, ooh, I took it out of my cart because I'm like, okay, Lindsey, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think
I got a lot that were like $4 or $5, and I was like, these are, and I got a couple that were like $7. So, and there were some where I was like, there were series that I had either we had started them for the podcast and I had liked, and I was like, okay, I'll get the rest of these,
Yeah. No, totally.
So, jumping off of that, are you reading anything fun right now?
Oh my gosh, I have been beta reading like fucking crazy. What have I read for pleasure and not the podcast? I think the one book that I've read recently is Scarlight, which is, I haven't finished it yet. I still have maybe like 15% of the paperback left. I'm reading the paperback, but it's really pretty cover. And it has it's fantasy, sort of historical fantasy, sort of Viking-ish vibes with like about like dueling kingdoms and that sort of thing. There's a little bit of magic, but not a lot. It's more about like political intrigue and deceit, and you have like the more like Viking-esque like the rogue kingdom that it has like a really bad rep, and then like the frilly princess from like the really fancy kingdom goes, and anyways, but nothing is as it seems, and it's been really cool. So I've been enjoying that, but I haven't finished it. So that's Scarlight, and that's by Evie, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but I will have a better recommendation next time. I'm gonna be featuring in my newsletter coming up actually too, so I'll mention that. But that's about it. Otherwise, yeah, I've had 3 beta projects, so, and then the podcast, so you guys already, either you can't know what I'm reading or I have already told you. That's it for me.
Got it. I like powered through super fast one of the Hollows books. So I think I'm like,
what?
I'm like 2 books ahead of like where I was last time, maybe even 3. I don't know. I don't know what the one I'm on is called. Let's see here. It's called The Undead Pool, and it is book number loading 12.
Wait, is that actually a playoff of like Deadpool, or is that just a random?
No. No.
Undead Pool.
All of her titles, I believe, are plays on Clint Eastwood movies.
Oh, I did not know that.
At least they were for the first part of the series. I'm not sure. I'm not like a huge Clint Eastwood movies fan. So
Blue is outside my door and she's like, just like Dennis is out there like, just deal with her.
I'm really excited because I finally was able to order hardcover special editions of the Shatter Me series, which I have been wanting for my bookshelf for so long, because I only have the initial like first edition like hardcover with the like ridiculous cover that it had. And then there were not hardcovers after that. They were all paperbacks. Like they didn't release hardcovers. They only released paperbacks. So
have to look. I don't think I know what the hardcovers look like.
Well, they're through, I think I want to say it's through Fairy Loot that I got them through. So one of the book boxes. And I think they're the covers with the eyes in hardcover, and then there's like an undercover cover. But anyway, I'm really excited to finally have hardcovers of the series for my bookshelves, because that's like a major series. I like to have series that mean a lot to me, so that one means a lot to me for, being an author and stuff like that. Like it's a pivotal, meeting to Haramafi and all that stuff. So it's how we started writing.
Exciting.
Yeah. So anyway,
I mean, I guess that was like the first big author we met too.
Yeah. So, yeah. I guess we should dive into, if anybody notices any like weirdness with the episode, my internet is acting funny. And so it's been cut in two. So I'm going to try to mash it up all together and hopefully it will sound okay. But we should transition.
Modern day technical difficulties.
Yeah, I know. We should transition into talking about the book that we read for this episode. So spoiler warning.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So I'm going to read the description. If you don't want to be spoiled, turn off the episode. Or don't. Hold on. I need to save this. This thing just finished. I'll cut this out. Okay. Okay. So this is the description for Broken by Imogen Keeper. Everyone is going to die soon. The whole of humanity sits on the precipice of total annihilation. That's some heavy shit right there. And the worst part is, the survivors will all be broken, lost, grieving, plunged into a world without order, and no one to enforce it anyway. At least, no one but him. I never thought I'd love again. In fact, I actively planned against it. But as the world collapses and I grow to fit the wreckage, one thing becomes clear. Fate has other plans for me. Before the apocalypse, we were strangers. Now our lives will be forever entwined. Start your journey into the apocalypse with this spellbinding saga that blends the romance of Outlander with the grittiness of Walking Dead, minus the zombies. Fans of swoon-worthy heroes, high-stakes action, and a heroine who grows into her power will love this unforgettable slow-burn saga of life after the apocalypse. So
I hadn't read the full blurb.
I hadn't either. Before. It's interesting because the blurb doesn't really apply to like
the first book.
Book one. So it's like interesting. I mean, and this is something we're going to talk about, the like length of the book. I don't know. I would be curious to know if she wrote the whole thing as like one book and then like broke it up almost more like a serial on. I don't know. I'm curious about her thought process there. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what format did you read?
I actually already had the ebook, so I just read the ebook. Yeah. And I know you listened. I think you said you listened.
I did. I listened to it. It's short. I think it's like it's not quite 4 hours. And the narration.
Yeah, I think for the book, it's just like 140 pages or 130 pages or something.
Yeah. And it is, I will say it is, the female narration is Imogen Keeper. Like she does the.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she's good. She's good. She does the female part.
How fascinating.
Yeah. And then there's another narrator for the male part. And then it's done in duet. So like, he like, I don't think there's any women in his any like female dialogue in the male chapters yet. but in the female characters chapters, all of
She
the
has
male
Jimmy.
dialogue. Yeah.
Does she have an act? Well, I guess she's writing somebody from DC, so she wouldn't. But I'm. Do you know where she's from, by any chance?
Imogen
Like, yeah.
Keeper? I don't.
I wasn't sure if I feel like I thought I had read her bio, but I don't know. I was getting this impression that she might be from a different country than the US when I was reading it, but at the same time it's based in the US, and I was like, maybe not. So I was just curious. And now that you say that she was narrating, she probably is American.
No, I mean, either she has a really good American accent or she is American.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she could be Canadian, but she didn't have any of those telltale Canadianisms. Yeah, so this is saying it about my internet connection again, so I hope that I can stick through this. So this is the first book that I have read that references COVID. I guess this is a two-part question. So how did that make you feel to like be reading a book that includes COVID? And then have you read any others that reference COVID before? Because I know, I think the reason I'm curious about this question is like back when I
haven't.
You haven't read any? I haven't either. Obviously, I said that. But back when I had access to Facebook and could run Facebook ads, throughout the whole like main pandemic years, people would be commenting on ads for After the Ending, being like, I don't want to read this, I'm living it, and like stuff like that. So I think it's really interesting. We have entered the period of like the world where COVID is like part of our history, or like our shared history. And so it's like, is it too soon? Is it like PTSD? Like,
too soon?
I don't know. How did you feel about it? If you notice anything weird with this episode, we're having technical difficulties. So apologies. So anyway, we were talking about COVID. Neither of us have read any books that reference COVID. And she in the book, I can't remember I just read it like 2 days ago too. I can't remember the main character's name. So terrible.
Frankie,
thank you.
It's Frankie and
York. Frankie mentions COVID like it's in the past. So this had to have been written either like, I don't know.
Yeah, because it's definitely not COVID that they're talking about. It's something else
it's something
originated
else.
in Australia, right? Yeah.
The Aussie flu. Isn't that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I definitely had I feel like I didn't have a really bad COVID experience. Like I know a lot of people had a very kind of traumatizing and struggled with a lot of mental health issues, especially during lockdowns and stuff. But I still, when she referenced COVID, I was like, ooh, chill down my spine. Is it too soon?
Yeah. It's funny because I didn't really have a reaction to it. I thought it was really interesting. And the whole time I kept asking myself, did she write this before or after? Because for some reason, I thought the series had been out longer than COVID. But yeah, it did feel very real as to like kind of what the readers were, or the characters were going through.
Yeah, like they're talking about
toilet paper referencing and all
and
that.
The grocery deliveries and like the people, like you get your groceries dropped off and then you disinfect them and then you bring them in. I remember like going for walks because I walked a lot. I remember I was pregnant in 2020 and I wanted to like have a healthy pregnancy. So I walked outside. And I remember walking by people's houses and seeing them like disinfecting.
You.
People would have I had my mask on, so everybody wore their mask, but I would see people with their groceries spraying them down with like disinfectant outside in their driveways. And I was like, I never did that, but I didn't disinfect my groceries. but I remember
either.
seeing people doing it. So I was like, this is really interesting. I wonder
Man,
if
I
that
must
was
be
like
a
a more
freaking
common occurrence on the East Coast or something.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, I know things were a lot different in like New York and whatnot. I yeah, I don't even know if I stopped going to the grocery. I'm pretty sure I still went to the grocery store. I mean, they still made you do the 6,
Yeah.
feet apart thing, and you couldn't bag your own groceries. You couldn't, like you still had to wear your masks and everything. I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure life was different, but I tried to be as normal as possible, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. I feel like I could easily, I mean, I never did I mean, my husband had got it at work, but I never got it. And I feel like I say that now and I'll probably get it and I don't even know if people are still
Nobody's gonna care.
oh, I mean, I know people are still getting COVID, but I mean, like, it's kind of more normalized now,
Yeah.
Probably get it now that I said that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, but I didn't have any reaction to it or anything. I thought it was interesting. And like I said, I think for me, I was really trying to figure out because based on kind of even the description, like you don't actually know. I mean, I read the description so long ago, I didn't even remember it. But even then, it doesn't really, you don't know what people have. You don't really know what kind of apocalypse it is, really. Like, as far as like, is it COVID or is it before, after, whatever. So I found myself wondering that for sure throughout. But I thought it was fine. I mean, yeah, you can definitely relate to it differently because we've lived it,
Yeah.
But
yeah. And I will say, the virus is very similar to COVID in this book, like in terms of like attacking the lungs and stuff. And that's what kills people, it seems like, from what we got in this book. So
but it is much quicker and the death rate is much higher.
well, and apparently the thing that was really interesting about this virus that made it spread so far is that people were contagious for a very long time before they showed any symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got sick and died very quickly. Once they got sick, they died. It seemed like a couple days, maybe.
So I just want to bring this up because I don't think you didn't have any questions about this, but I think it's worth mentioning. The author makes the choice in this is she has a love scene between the main character and her husband the night that he gets so sick that he dies essentially the next day, like within the next 24 hours. So, but in what we have read, yes, it's a shorter story, part 1, but she never gets sick from that. And they're like legit all over each other. So I think that's worth bringing up too. So I don't know if there's any foreshadowing for her having any sort of, whatever you call it, like a immunity to it, or if it's more just like happens, just happened to be that way or what. But I think that's kind of worth mentioning because
it seems like it seems like the survivors have an immunity like that so far. Well, I'm reading book 2 right now, and there is no mention of anybody getting sick and getting better.
Okay, got it.
Everybody who has survived so far that we've met did
straight up as
like they
has no reaction.
Yeah, they took care of their sick family members who died, and
like the news lady.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I just thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah. Okay, so what did you think of the 2 main characters, Frankie and York, who in book 1, other than like a passing, not even real interaction,
one that walks by her, right? And she's like, he's mugging me like he's gonna steal my groceries, and that's totally not at all what he was thinking when he walked by her.
It's super funny. They're like different perspectives on him walking past her, and like ogling her butt. But okay, so what do you think of Frankie? First off, what do you think of Frankie? Because she's kind of like the more main character for this book.
Yeah. I think what I really like about this story is that I think the writing is really fresh and real feeling. And I feel like these characters feel like real people. And Yeah, like I feel like Frankie has a lot of flaws and she's kind of
Mhm.
annoying and like super like she relies on her husband for far too
Oh
much.
my gosh, I know.
But at the same time, like I feel like she could be a real person,
Yeah.
and I think that the author does a good job of, by the end of this part of the story, really kind of turning her around, and she starts taking care of the dog, which his name is Beast, by the
I
way,
know,
which
I
I
thought
thought
of
was
you.
funny. Isn't he like a collie too, which is a very strange dog, I feel like, to be named Beast, but
Yeah.
anyway.
But vicious.
But and then taking care of the boy and stuff. So but overall, I mean, I think it was really cool to see that turnaround. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, her husband is like a freaking saint.
Yeah, yeah. I, I, so this goes into like another one of the questions, which is that we meet characters who we know are going to die because this is a post-apocalyptic love story. It like says it in the subtitle of the book. So a
Between
post
two people who are not, it's not her
it's
husband.
not her
Yeah.
husband. So it's like clearly
Yeah.
her husband is going to die.
Yeah.
But you still like really get into their relationship. You get into like
Yeah.
their background and how they met. And you go through their whole like story,
Yeah.
or like they recap their whole like first meeting story and all this stuff. You have like a steamy romance scene, like knowing he's gonna die.
Yeah. And I
It
have to
almost
say
feels
though,
like
like, yeah.
prequely, like you're getting her like breakdown point.
Yeah. I really liked Jimmy though. I was sad. I was sad. I feel like I kind of knew he was gonna. I mean, obviously, I knew he was gonna get sick, but he was acting with the whole when she wakes up and he's already gone, like out of bed, and then he's like sanitizing the entire house. Like I knew. And then he was like sitting down when she walked outside, and then he like tried to act like he was fine, and I was like, oh, this he's sick.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
was
he
like,
still had so many patience. He had the patience of a saint, and she's like arguing with him and spiraling. He's like, for the love of God, just listen to me. And I
I
was like,
just want
oh
to
my
go
God,
lay
wring her
down.
neck. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a very frustrating character, but I agree, like realistically frustrating. Like we all want to think like we would be like badass, awesome people. And she's just like straight up admits like, "Oh, I just want to like lay down and die." It's just
But
terrible.
it's also, I mean, she hasn't, I mean, her backstory is that she's an addict and she has had a
Mhm.
lot of issues and she's gone through a lot of loss and had a lot of trauma. So her whole thing, she shuts down and
Yeah.
freaks out like that. She spirals and she does drugs and she does all these things. So I think having all that backstory does kind of help lend to like kind of understanding her a little bit more,
Yeah.
because he's all who's ever been able to
He's
get
like her
her
like grounding
knight in shining
anchor,
armor.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
So anyways,
yeah,
yeah,
like
I don't know. It made me sad. I kept, yeah.
I don't think I didn't like really, I don't know, something about his character rubbed me the wrong way. So I didn't, or maybe it's because I knew he was gonna die. So I was like, don't get attached.
He was also very perfect, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like at least raise your voice a little bit or something. Tell her to shut the fuck up. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely think by the end of the book you can see her like growth potential and that she's on this
Hmm.
really great trajectory.
Yeah.
So that was really, it's I think that's like the great thing about having like really flawed characters is that they have so much more room to grow.
Hmm.
So that's nice. Okay, so how about York?
I thought that he was pretty believable. I mean, I think that, I mean, I liked his personality. I feel like, I mean, he did what he could. He was also like, I haven't been the best brother. I have nowhere to go. I have a shitty background. Like, I'm a Marine. They don't even want me anymore because everything's shutting down. Like, I have nowhere. Like, at that point, I feel like, yeah, you'd want to jump off a balcony. Like, you have nobody and everyone's dead around you. Like, I mean, I would probably consider it too. I don't know if hearing someone wailing and like grief would pull me back from the edge, but who knows,
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, like I like I like they have very different, distinguished personalities, and I like that. They're fresh characters for me. It's not like they leave an impression, whether you like them or not, they leave an impression, which is something that I think you don't always get in books.
I guess, yeah, they're distinct. They have very distinct characters. And again, they don't meet in this book one, or this part of the story, whatever you want to call it, other than like a passing thing. So, and we get much less of York's perspective.
What is a coconut bun?
I don't know. I think just like a big
bun.
I don't know.
Is that what I'm like, does that mean it's giantly like a huge, like huge,
like a giant, like she just has like
what is
I don't know.
What is a Yeah.
So I just assumed it was a big bun on top of her head.
Okay, yeah. So she has a coconut bun. I was just curious. I wasn't sure. I really don't know really like cool lingo. So I was like, that's probably a thing. I don't know what it is.
I don't either. Okay, so we talked about the characters who died. Okay, so let's talk about the setting a little bit. So I'm not all that familiar with Washington, D.C. I have been there one time when I was in middle school. And it was like all about the history and stuff. But it was definitely an interesting setting for a post-apocalyptic story. What did you think about it?
I thought that it was interesting. I didn't get a feeling, I think because we're in her house so much, I didn't really feel like I was in like DC and like a big giant dirty city so much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when they were driving around and trying to get out of the barricades and stuff, like it wasn't really elaborated on. So I didn't feel like I was in a big sprawling city until when in York's chapters and he randomly like mentions the White House and like Capitol Hill and stuff like that. Like other than that, like I would not have known.
I definitely felt like York brought the exterior part more to life. Like I don't understand. I didn't like the Frankie describes DC as like an island surrounded by a moat or something that is the highway, or I don't know. Apparently there's like a highway that goes all the way around DC. I was like, that's an interesting layout for a city. But
I've never ever been there. I mean, I would love to go, but yeah, I've never been there.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see. I feel like that she's, especially with like York mentioning the White House and I can't remember in that book, does he start to mention the gun hoarders?
Wait, what's your question? Did he mention them?
Did he mention the gun hoarders in that?
Yeah,
part?
well, he mentioned that, well, he wanted to have some, and then he also saw the guys around the White House.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'm curious to see, like, moving forward through the series, but like, if she pulls in like other big familiar DC landmarks and stuff, like that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Just me, just LS. For a moment, my internet died. We had a little outage in near the end of this episode. So I'm just going to pop in here and make a few final comments and then let you know what to expect for the next episode. So I am so this is a few days since we recorded the episode together, and I am now on the final book of the series. So I just wanted to note there's something a little unique about the series where the first book, which I think some people could call an episode maybe, or a novella, is quite short. And then they seem to get progressively longer from there until they're like more of like a full book length. I would say even if the short length seems strange to you or puts you off, I definitely feel like if you like survival post-apocalyptic series with romance, especially if you're like if you really like the ending series, or if you're a fan of someone like Sarah Lyons Fleming, you would definitely enjoy this series. So If you're unsure, because book 1 is really short, I think it's worth a shot. Since I personally have been binging it. So, what's up for next week? Thank you for listening and for bearing with us through all of the technical difficulties of this episode. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode's links and book recommendations. And we'll be back in a couple weeks to chat about our next indie book, which is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. And I've been wanting to read this one for a really long time, so I'm very excited about this. If you're enjoying the show, we would love it if you left us a rating and or a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen that allows for reviews. Until next time, happy reading.